Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Thursday's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis, getting a little bit of a sell-off this morning. We approached Wednesday's high last night, stopped just short of that, and sold off just above Friday's Globex high. Getting a little bit of a reprieve now, though.
Yeah, a lot of weak overall news, Joel. We got them up there on the market movers page, but we've got, half a dozen companies coming out here from different industries lowering guidance. I think that's putting pressure on it too. Also, Deutsche Bank over there talking about taking bids for their asset management business. I don't think they love the idea that Deutsche Bank is selling part of their business. Obviously, it's looking like they want to raise capital. So I think that's what got the market concerned here this morning, Joel. Obviously, waiting on the ADP report in 5 minutes.
Yeah, also we have, of course, unenjoyment tomorrow. But quick recap of the S&Ps. We hit an overnight high of 1273.75. As I mentioned, that was just one tick short of Wednesday's high. The sell-off that ensued took us down to 1260.75. If that 1260.75 holds as a high of the day, we have an upside target at 1280.25. Conversely, as the 1273.75 holds as a high of the day, we have a downside target at 1254.25. In order to get back up and test that settlement from Tuesday and Wednesday, we need to get up above and hold the 1267.25 area. Moving on to the Big Ten, Apple just kind of saved the market yesterday during that early morning sell-off. Recovered, got up to 414.68. Really trying hard to fill that gap that it's had since the October earnings at 415.99. Resistance all the way up to that level. After that, things really open up. Good number for you folks on the downside. You can sit back and wait. Don't short until we take out 409. 409 was Tuesday's low, and Wednesday's low was 409.28. So a little bit more consolidation here in Apple.
Pulling back just a little bit here this morning, Joel, 413. Not too bad considering the market's down 7 points. Stock just slowly keeps climbing. I think you've still got a lot of portfolio managers that still want to own this thing. Obviously with Google breaking out to new 52-week highs, I think that keeps putting an upward pressure on Apple as well. So eventually here we may test that 426 all-time high, but we're still $13 away from there. If it was to break down below that 409 area, Joel, even the low from yesterday, 409.28, then all bets are off for the longs.
Okay, moving on to ExxonMobil. Just had some weakness in the morning. Filled the gap that it had from Friday. The gap up on Tuesday. Got down to 85.10. Dennis was calling that 85 area good support. Is now supported by Tuesday's low there at 85.10. Also, you got a double close here. 86 was Tuesday's close. 86.02 was Wednesday's close. And then you have yesterday's high right above there. So I think you're running into good resistance here. Anywhere above 86. 86.15 being Wednesday's high would be our first stop. And then Tuesday's high at 88.67. Below that 85.10, Dennis, some mild support at 84.57. But we could be heading back down to that 84.0109 area.
I still like the 85 number, Joel, especially since we had a low there of 85.10 yesterday. So that kind of puts a bottom on it just temporarily. We cut through 85, then I'd probably want to get out of those longs. But I'd still be a buyer in the low 85s, and I'm a seller in the low 86s with that 86.15 and those other 86 numbers you were telling about. So I would call my range on ExxonMobil 85. Say 85.05 to 86.15. I'd be a seller at the upper end and a buyer at the lower end. We start breaking out now above that 86, yesterday's high 86.15. Then I'd start to get nervous on the shorts.
Okay, IBM, kind of a tight range in that yesterday. Managed to get up over Tuesday's close, but only by 3 cents. So 186.33, real good resistance, trading quite a bit of ways away from there, so that might not come into play. Let's call it 185.54 the close as our first stopping point on the upside. Also trading below Wednesday's low here, which was 184.94. I'd use that as a swing number. I think you'd probably even get some sellers stepping here at the 185 area. Below Wednesday's low, which we're currently trading, you have Friday's low at 188.385. But the better support would come in at Thursday's low at 183.34, and then you have about a 2.25 point drop after that to the 8-day low at 181.
This is a tricky one to call, Joel. I'd say you have some in the 184 area too. I don't mind that number. We start to cut through 184, I'd get real nervous on my longs. But if we can hold the 184 area, maybe it's still, got room to the upside. Obviously major resistance up there on Tuesday's high around 188.5. I don't see us getting there today, especially being down $7. But, if you were a swing trader out there and you're trying to pick it up in the low 184s, maybe that's your target. I'm not sure. But, I'd be a buyer in the low 184s, but if it cuts through that 184 area, then I'd probably not want to hold it long.
Okay, Mr. Softy, the old 2-day rally trick, Dennis, took out that critical area just 2 days ago that we were talking about at 26.20, and lo and behold, Dennis, we hit 27.47 yesterday, going back to those highs that we talked about in October. Gave it another test, couldn't quite get there. Should be interesting to see what happens over the next couple days here, bumping up against that level. But that 27.50 is huge. Coming back on the downside, you'll find some probably mild support at the whole number 27. But really would be the real good support would be at 25.78, which was Wednesday's low.
27.50, Joel. Wow. I don't know what to say about this stock. That 27.50 area, 27.40 to 27.50 area is the area we talked about back a couple months ago. Is just sellers like crazy up there. We went right to the top of that area, 27.47, and now we've sold off here. Interesting enough, ADP number actually was pretty good, so we're only down $4. The SPUs there. So if Microsoft's to open in that 27.40 to 27.50 area, I think it provides a great, a great low risk trade. Your out is if this thing starts trading 27.55. So if you're going to try a short in the 27.40 to 27.50 area, I think you can control the risk pretty good on that one. So overall, I'm a seller 27.40 to 27.50, but covering if it starts trading that 27.55 to 27.60.
Okay, moving on to our next component, Chevron Corporation. Kind of a quiet day yesterday in that stock. Really a little bit over a buck range here. Very unusual for that stock. Made a low at 109.20. Came up and settled at 110.18. Mild resistance at Tuesday's close, which was also Wednesday's high, 110.37. Then, of course, you have that monster number at 110.99. You really can't look for a breakdown of this stock until we maybe get a close or two below this 108.73 level, which was Tuesday's low.
Yeah, Chevron, 110.99, like you're saying, Joel. That high, obviously, because the 111 has a sizable seller, so those high-frequency guys will step in front of that seller there. So same thing, in the high 110s, you're going to see high-frequency resistance. So usually, we like to sell in front of the high-frequency resistance. You don't like to get caught up in that high-frequency tractor beam type of play. So we try to sell, a little bit in front of it. So I'd probably sell in the 110.80 area, knowing that I'm getting out if this thing starts trading above 111.
Okay, what can you say about J&J except its 66 level? I only managed to get to 65.88 yesterday, so you have major resistance all the way from 65.88 up to 66. That stock was relatively weak yesterday, and in fact, we're trading 7 cents off yesterday's low. Look for a little bounce off that area. If we can't hold the 65.11 area, I'd be looking for the 8 and 9 day lows at the 64.58 to 64.62 level. And since we're trading below the settlement, look for your initial resistance at 65.48.
Yeah, 66.60. Just preach that number to you. We've been preaching it to you for about 2 months. Going to keep preaching it to you. The stock has had a wall at 66, wall of high frequency resistance in the 65.90s. So that means, you want to be a seller in the 65.80s and a little bit in the low 65.90s.
Okay, Procter & Gamble, similar to the formation that we're getting in the J&J here, running into a lot of problems here at $67. You got major highs in that area. Only got to 66.88 yesterday with a close at 66.80. Got to stay short this thing, under 67, above 67, all bets are off. Coming on the downside, if you're looking to short this thing on weakness, Tuesdays and Wednesdays lows about as close as you can get to a double bottom in this decimal world. 66.27 to 34 would be the area of good support on the downside.
I do have a trading position on in Procter & Gamble, but I will just say that 67 number is huge.
Okay, AT&T was holding up pretty well most of the day. Made a new high from Tuesday, got up to 30.68 before peeling back. It was kind of weak on the close, settled at 30.43. Got to keep a close eye on Tuesday and Wednesday's lows here, pretty much matching 30.30 to 30.35. Break below there will take us under the $30 level, perhaps the $29.84 and 85, which was a couple lows from last week. The close should provide be a good swing number here since we're trading 3 cents away from it.
Yeah, I got a trading position on that one too, Joel, so limited comments.
Okay. General Electric continuing its march up toward the $19 level, stopping short at $18.60, only settling 4 cents off there at $18.56. You try and be long this thing coming up to this level, really running into sellers almost at, huge sellers at almost every penny. Tight ranging it yesterday, might get a shot here to short it at Wednesday's high, at $18.60, so be quick on that. Not looking for a breakdown of General Electric until we take out Tuesdays and Wednesdays lows of 18.23 to 18.28.
What a run this thing has had in the last month and a half, Joel. We've come from that low 14, or from that 15 area there that we had talked about again and again and again for months. We've been straight up here, really $3 here, Joel. Really impressive movement. Obviously, I think we're moving into that 19 area. Not sure, when we're going to get there. I think it wants to test that area eventually, and I would expect some pretty good resistance up there as well.
Okay, moving on to our final component, Coca-Cola. Actually gapped down yesterday and never recovered. Got a small gap up from 70.10, which was Tuesday's low. Wednesday's high was 70.07 and Tuesday's low was 70.10. So that $70 area is really starting to come into play here. Closed at 69.70, but we are currently trading below Wednesday's low at 69.50. So use that as your swing number. 69.50 would be your initial resistance, as well as 69.70. If in fact the 69.5 area cannot hold, easily could see the 7-day low at 69.29 and a low back we had on December 22nd at 68.89.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. I'll just say $70 looks like it's starting to form some resistance again here. I know we cut through that area a couple days ago. $70 though is looking like it's starting to form a little bit of resistance. $70.50 is your big number on that thing. There's some size up there, so I'd expect major resistance up in the 70-40s from the high frequency guys, but there might be a little bit of resistance in the high 69s too, in the 69.90, 69.95 area.
Okay, folks, that's a wrap of the Big Ten. We will be back in a moment with our market movers.